constant there. And you've seen real adversity. I mean, you've been away from our country for a very long period of time. Brandon, you've sacrificed greatly as well in the police department. But talk about the dangerous direction you see this kind of victimhood culture going in this country right now.
For me, the biggest thing that I see going on right now is we live in a society that is so blessed that we feel like nothing can ever happen to us and nothing can ever be taken away. And the truth of the matter is we are one election or one vote or one generation away from losing everything if we don't pay attention. Just as quickly as everything that is formulated to make America the greatest country in the world came into play, just as quickly we can lose it. And it's because we live in the greatest country in the world that we feel this invincibility that nothing will ever happen to us. Like the arguments about gun control.
Thank you.
One of the main things that people tell me all the time about gun control. Once you get past the arguments of the Founding Fathers were only talking about muskets, surely the Founding Fathers never would have thought that we would advance in any kind of way. Right? The Founding Fathers were a bunch of dummies, obviously. They had no idea what they were talking about. Once you get past that, people will argue gun control. And they'll say, well, there's no need. There's no need to have all this. Why do you need a gun? What could possibly happen to you that you could need a gun? Well, obviously, you don't live in a rural area very often, do you? Things can happen to you all the time. We see it on the news every single day about good guys or ladies stopping bad guys with guns. And there's a reason for that. The biggest argument that I say for anyone in this room or anyone watching that says that we need to reduce or get rid of a freedom, if you give up a freedom, you will never give it back. That's it. Period. You will never get that back. Our freedoms are not up to be given away. And I truly believe the Second Amendment is the strongest amendment because it ensures all the rest of them. What's going to stop them from taking your other rights away from you when you no longer have the right to ensure that those rights stay with you?
And it's important to note that the Constitution was not written for the times. It was written to stand the test of time. That as much as we like to think that technology changes humans, human beings have not changed thousands and thousands of years. We just don't. Human nature stays quite constant. And the Founding Fathers wrote the Constitution as an analysis and a constant thesis on human history, whether it be the Babylonians, the Romans, the Indus River Valley civilization, the Chinese Empire. Human beings are quite always the same. And they're quite predictable, actually. And that's why the Constitution is the greatest political document ever written, ever. Because first and foremost, it rejects the idea of utopia. Like, we're not going to have perfection, but we can have excellence. Secondly, it also admits the historical observation that what will inevitably happen? Well, so if you look at the Roman Republic. Rome used to have a republic. Well, then after that, they then made Julius Caesar emperor for life, and that was the eventual downfall of Rome. Human beings will give up their liberty and freedom when someone wants to amass political power too quickly and under the guise of good intentions. What does the Constitution do? It decentralizes that. It decentralizes the power structure to the courts, to the people, to the states, to elected representatives, so on and so forth. It was so fundamentally transformative. It's the first political document ever written by the winners of a war that voluntarily gave up their power. It could have been the Madison, Jeffersonian, Washingtonian ruling class. They could have made themselves kings for life. It's the first time in human history where the winners decided to have less power after the formation of the government than before. When you think about it, it's dumbfounding how humble they were, how they gave up their power, how they could have made themselves kings and queens for life, and their kids in perpetuity could have ruled the colonies, and it could have just been not the United States of America, but the Kingdom of America. And instead, they made a system where people could have the biggest voice possible. Was it perfect at the time? Of course not. That's why there was an amendment process, and that's why eventually women were given the right to vote, and all people were given the right to vote. And that's what's so interesting when people try to critique the United States Constitution. I say, tell me one freedom that they predicted that does not apply today. So, for example, you said they didn't think things would advance. Does the First Amendment only apply to quill and paper? Does it not apply to Twitter and Facebook and online forums? Does the Fourth Amendment not apply to your email inbox? Of course not. These principles are enshrined in human behavior. The principle of self-defense, the principle to defend yourself against a usurpatious government, or the principle of self-expression and freedom of expression. These things are 30 years from from now and 300 years from now, they're going to be just as important. Because as much as we like to think that human beings change, they don't. Human beings have remained the same throughout the course of time, and that's why the Constitution was not written for the times, it was written to stand the test of time. So, anyway, Brandon, thank you.